mute myself here.
You see my screen then? Just want to make sure before I get started going through the slides.
I see you fine.
Okay, awesome. So let's get started. I'm sure there'll be some others that join in. I know you can try to run through it as quick as possible and hopefully get some questions towards the end. So you got a 40-minute time frame here. So let's jump in. Okay, so welcome to Multifamily Roommat's latest Lunch and Learn. I'm your host, John Castle. Today we'll be breaking down a 3-unit deal that I had purchased. I'll show you the basics of breaking down a deal, how you can get infinite returns from a multifamily investment property. And then also at the end, just as a little heads up, I came up with this offering for a deal, like a deal membership that helps combat analysis paralysis. So after we're done through the thing, I'll touch on that quickly. It won't be some huge selling thing or anything like that. Just I'll breeze through it, and if it's something that is interesting you, you can let me know. So let's get started. All right. So what is multifamily real estate? Most of the people on this will probably know, so I'll go through this section, but it's basically investment real estate that has multiple units. So this could be a large building, could be two side-by-side units, a duplex or something, or a big apartment building. So if you're looking at the small multifamilies, a lot of times, if they're not brand new, you'll see a lot of bigger buildings that have been cut up into multiple apartments. So maybe it was a big house before, and now it's just 4 apartments that they, formatted out. And generally anything larger multifamily is considered 5 units and above. You'll have to get different financing for that. This 2 to 4 units, you're able to get 30-year fixed financing like you would for just a personal residence, which is really nice. But the larger multifamily, you generally have to go with commercial financing. So that's usually 20 years, sometimes 25 years, and then only a fixed rate for a certain period of time, maybe 5 years. If you're lucky, you can get 7 or 10, depending on the lender and your relationship with that lender. So some of the benefits of multifamily, especially over single family rentals, there's the vacancy safety. So you got 4 units in one big building. If one of them goes vacant, the other 3 are still there covering, the expenses and likely most, if not all, of the mortgage as well. So you're not totally sitting there with zero income. Like if you have a single family and it goes vacant and you're having trouble finding somebody, you're just covering the mortgage and expenses for everything, 100% of them, until you get somebody in there. So, and there's also economies of scale. So you're getting, one of the examples would be a roof. If you got 4 units under one building, you only have one big roof. Whereas if you got 4 single family properties, you're responsible for 4 roofs, 4 HVACs, that kind of stuff. You can generally get a better rent to price ratio. So this means you can basically get more rent for the price that you're paying. So maybe if you're buying a 3-unit property for $150,000, maybe you can get $2,400 in monthly rent from 3 tenants, so $800 a piece. Whereas if you bought just a nice single family that's $150,000, maybe you're getting $1,500, $1,800, something like that. So you're not quite getting the same amount of rent for the same amount of price that you're buying. And there's also a better valuation method. So smaller properties, 4 and under, they do take into account the income that the property produces, but most of it will be valuation of similar properties in the area. They're small multis, kind of like you would do a residential comparison. But once you get 5 units and above, it's valued by the income it produces and then divided by basically a cap rate to give you a price of what it's worth. So for the 4 and under and the single families, you're kind of capped at a max value because it's got to be judging on surrounding properties and what they've gone for. When you get 5 units and over, there's technically no real ceiling. If you can increase the income somehow, it'll be worth more money, and won't really depend on what's, the property beside you or anything like that. And generally, just for multifamily, it's a lot easier because of that rent to price ratio to get cash flow, which is just monthly income left over after expenses and the mortgage are paid. So for analyzing the deal, the basics, before you start analyzing the numbers and everything, you you need to go into searching for properties and looking at properties with a business plan. So some of the main ones, you could just do a buy and hold. So this is just a lot of people do this for retirement and for some cash flow. They'll just buy it, one that's already, in decent shape. Don't do a whole lot to it. Just let it sit there, collect the rental income, let it pay off itself. So then when they're ready to retire years down the road, it's paid off and they're just collecting all that income without a mortgage on it. You could also, a lot of people do the flip. So if you're doing, it's like HGTV, you're flipping it. So you're buying one that's run down, you're making it nicer and then selling it at a premium. And then my favorite strategy that I encourage people to use is just the BRRRR strategy. If you don't know, that stands for buy, rent, refinance, or buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. Sorry about that. But then basically what you do with this, you're doing the flipping strategy, but instead of selling it, you refinance the property. And since you added all this value, you can pull out your capital that you put into the property, and then you can still hold it then for cash flow in the future. So you basically end up with no money left in the property if you do it correctly, and then income coming in, and then you can just roll that. Let's say you put 50 grand total into the property, you get that 50 grand back out. You still have that property, but now you can put that 50 grand to purchase another property. So it's easy to really build wealth fast and also build your side passive income as well. So once you figure out your strategy, then you got to analyze the income. So this would be the rental income, any other income that could be at the property, maybe garages, storage, stuff like that. And then just the vacancy rate. So the vacancy would just be an estimate that you do to lower the income based on how many or how much of a time frame that your units will be vacant, because there'll always be some vacancy. And if there's not, then that's just an added bonus. But when you're analyzing the income, you want to put some sort of vacancy factor in there, especially for, sometimes I budget a little bit higher. So I'll go 8 to 10% of income, maybe 10% of the income, that gross rent income that I project, because that also gives me a cushion then to get the units rent ready when someone does move out. I got a little extra vacancy factored into there. And then the next thing you obviously want to do after you get the income, you'll analyze the expenses. So this is taxes, insurance, maintenance, CapEx. I recommend using a property manager. So it'd be that, any other sort of contracting costs. So that could be pest fees, that could be lawn, snow, maybe some miscellaneous fee expenses like borough fees, depending on where you're at. You might have some fees for the local township or borough. And then also, you want to do the maintenance as well. So you'll analyze the income, analyze the expenses, and then using those, you'll want to calculate some of the following things. You'll want to calculate NOI, which is net operating income. This is basically just income minus all expenses. Cash flow. So this would be taking the NOI, minusing your mortgage payment off, and then that gives you the cash flow, or what money that you'll get after everything, expenses and mortgage are paid. You want to calculate your ROI, which is return on investment. So you calculate this yearly, but this is basically if you have to put $50,000 into the property, but you're getting $5,000 out in cash flow a year, you take that $5,000 cash flow divided by the $50,000 you put into it, and you're getting 10% on your money there. And then IRR is a great calculation. It's internal rate of return. I usually use this for multi-year projects to calculate out. So if I'm doing some sort of value add via the BRRRR strategy, where I'm buying a rundown property over maybe 2 to 3 year span, I'm renovating the units, getting them all up to market rent, and then pulling the money out. The IRR will basically give you a better return on your money over a couple year span, because what it does is it discounts future cash flows. So it discounts money that you receive in the future, because how time value money works, money in the future is always worth less than today. So each year it'll discount each cash flow basically you get in the future is discounted by that year. And then another thing I always do, since I advocate for the BRRRR strategy, is analyzing whether there's cash out refinance potential. Can you add enough value there so that you can pull your money out and then roll that into another property. And you also want to plan some sort of exit strategy. So you want to have a couple exit strategies, just depending on if the market turns. You want to know that you're able to sell the property. The refinance could be your basically not really an exit strategy, but your strategy to get your money back. So you'll need to know what you plan to do. Are you going to hold it for another 5 years? Does the market seem like it's either staying the same or getting better? Or if the market is turning in a couple of years, are you able to get out of the property? What sort of financing do you have that you will limit you to get in and out of the property? You want to basically have at least one or two strategies there, just in case things change over the course of owning the property. So the 3-unit deal that I purchased in York, PA, will run this down as the example. I found it via direct mail. It was actually an out-of-state owner in California. So we communicated. They emailed me after getting my letter, and we communicated through email, and were able to negotiate a price of $75,000. They actually were looking for $100,000 at first, but I was able to negotiate them down after seeing the property, and then just looking at the expenses. Their expenses, mainly utilities, was super high. There was lots of maintenance that they weren't taking care of, and I think just from them owning it across the states, they were tired of managing it and just ready to get out. I don't think they were big landlords. Maybe they had lived in the area in the past, moved to California, and just this was their last property, and we're just trying to offload it. I did end up getting a commercial loan for this at first instead of the 30-year fixed residential loan because of the seasoning issue. The funds that I was using for the property hadn't been in my account. I believe it had to be 90 days. So I had to go with the commercial loan, which allowed me to have those funds not have a seasoning to them. So normally I would get a 30-year fixed on it. But for this one, I had to get the commercial just because of the funds that I used. It's a C to C minus area. So it's not the greatest area in the world, but it's a good school district, which helps kind of prop it up. So you can get some good tenants just based on the school district, but it's not like an area where you're scared to be in, or, there's lots of crime or anything like that. It's just a lower income area, good school district. So I'd rate it like a C minus area. And like I said, the property was in rough shape, a lot of deferred maintenance, utility bills were sky high, and the property just on the outside looked like, nothing was really done to it for a while. So it didn't really have a whole lot of curb appeal, but those are factors that allow you to get a better deal on the price. So breaking down the income, here's one of the units. This is what we did to renovate one of the units. We didn't do some high end. We just kind of redid the cabinets, did some new hardware. Tried something different with this one. We put those dark cabinets on. I kind of liked the look of that, and then just did some vinyl plank flooring in the areas where they needed flooring, and then just paint throughout. So we didn't do a huge budget on the reno, but when we first acquired the property, the current rents there was a 1-bedroom and 2 2-bedrooms, and there was $619. It was $619 for the 1-bedroom, and the 2 2-bedrooms were different, but they averaged out at $716. And since this was a couple years ago, the rents after reno I projected at $700 and $850, which actually were a little bit lower than we are at now. But like I said, that was a couple years ago, so rents have, of course, gone up since then. We are actually able to get, for the 1-bedroom, we're getting $765 now in year 4, $875 for the 1 2-bedroom, and we were actually able to. There was this long kind of side room for the bottom floor 2-bedroom. We were actually able to wall that in. It was like $1,200. Put a door on and make it technically a 3-bedroom. So we were able to bump that rent up from what we had thought at $850 to almost $1,000 in rent. So that was a big jump. So we paid $1,200, basically got $150 extra in rent for doing that. So, and that's a month. So for when you break down the income, of course, you want to do rental income. So that's coming from down here. So that's annual rental income. We didn't have any other rental income at this property. There wasn't any like coin operated laundry or garages or storage. And I did an 8% vacancy rate for this property because it's with it being in that school district. A lot of the other areas that are in that same school district are higher end areas. So the demand for this lower income housing is pretty good. So I only did 8% instead of the normal 10. So this brought us down to a gross projected income of $22,654. So now when we dig into the expenses for the property, the taxes were right around 2,500. So that you can, if you ever need to double check those, you can usually get on the local county website and they'll give you the tax amount. So this is school and county taxes rolled into one. Insurance for the property, we got it for $600. The property management, we used 10%. So that was 10% of that gross income, 2,265 is what we projected for it. Maintenance. This is maintenance is one that people often leave out, or they go by the factor that the old owner gave to them. So the old owner basically will almost always put either no maintenance or low maintenance. I generally project anywhere from 5 to 800 per unit. That's actually probably going to could go higher than that now with inflation, everything going up. But so for this property, we're doing some minor renovations. So I budgeted 600 per unit for maintenance, and then for capital expenditures, I budgeted 250 per unit. I generally do anywhere from 200 to 400, depending on the condition of the big ticket items. So capital expenditures is money that you set aside that you'll want to budget for when the HVAC system goes bad, the roof goes bad, any other big ticket item like that. Maybe you factor the windows into that as well, depending on just what's at the property. But so you want to set aside monthly income for that. You might not use it for 2-3 years, but that way when let's say year 4, you need a new roof, you had been saving up, a couple $100 a year, and then you can just pay for that roof. So that's basically dependent on the property. The main things in this property were in decent shape, still had a decent life left to them. They weren't like, top of the line, but the roof still had good, probably 5 to 10 years left. Same with the HVAC. So budget a little bit on the lower end for that, for 250 per unit. But if some of those are bigger, you can do 400, 500 per unit, depending on how soon you think you're going to have to replace the roof. So for contract services, the fees for this were just for some pest maintenance, just to get sprayed semi-annually, and also for any sort of snow work at the property. There's not really a yard to mow. It kind of keeps itself cut, so we didn't have to budget for that. So that's just lawn and snow and pest control, and then other miscellaneous expenses, $120 borough fee a year. So down here in the red numbers, this is where the property was really running heavy. They had an old furnace that was still running well, but it just wasn't efficient. So their gas bill was like $3,500 a year for heating, and their water costs were exorbitantly high. So they were $3,100 a year, and then just had the obvious sewer costs, and then any electric and trash was actually covered by the tenants. So there's no expenses there. But the total expenses came out to 16,000. So when you factor the vacancy of about 2,000 or so into that, it gives you expense ratio of 73,000, which is significantly high. So expense ratio, in simplest terms, is basically you're just taking what percentage of the income that you collect is going to go to expenses. So for smaller multifamilies like this, you're generally looking anywhere from 45 to 55 is a normal range for them percentage wise. So if you see something high like this, there's either something going wrong, the rents are way too low, or the expenses are way too high, but it's usually something that you can correct and add some value there. So for the calculations for the property, down payment, it was $18,750. So that was 25% down. Estimated closing came in around $4,500 for closing. And then we did some minor unit renovations of around $15,000, bringing us all into $38,250 on the property. And then for the main ones that we had touched on earlier, to calculate the NOI, when we started out was $6,600. We projected to get up year 5 to almost $11,000. The mortgage that we got was $4,500. And then so cash flow, year 1 was $33,100. We got it up $4,500, $5,400, and so on. So the ROI obviously each year is going up because we invested this amount and this is amount that we're getting out. So generally for the ROI, the value add projects that I do, it'll be usually in the single digits, maybe year one, maybe year two. But I like to see projections of by year 3, 4, and 5 up in the double digits. So if we do like a 5-year average, we're looking at, 12, 13, 14% ROI. So you want to get something that has the value add potential that you can get that number up. So in year 3, the projections for it, if we would have sold it year 3, we still hold on to it today. We would have sold it an IRR. So basically a time value return for the property in year 3 would have been 27.3%, which is really good. If you could get 27.3% each year in the stock market, you'd be, killing it. You'd retire early doing that. So, and then we were able, the year 3 projections, we were able to actually have no money left in the deal with a refinance. So we actually ended up refinancing it early in year 2. So it was like maybe like a quarter or two into year 2, we refinanced it. We got the new value of the appraisal was 130. So this is how you end up getting infinite returns from using the BRRRR strategy. So you get a loan for $97,000, which is 75% of the 130. The refi closing costs were like 3%, so almost $4,000. Old loan balance, it was started at 56,250, I believe. Yep, and we got it down to, we got like 1,000 off it by paying a year and a half, let's say, of the mortgage. So the bank would basically be giving us a check at close for $38,600. So we got a check at close. We basically repaid, got all of our investment back because we had less than that in our investment to purchase the property, including down payment, closing, and the renovations. So we got 101% of our money back in like a year and a half. No money left in the deal. And then the kicker to that is we can roll that money into the next one. But then we still, if you take the 130 minus the $97,000 loan, the 130 in value minus the loan, we still have 32,000 left in the property with no money, left in the deal. So we gained $32,000 in equity and had our $38,000 left to put into another property. So that was kind of the breakdown for the deal. I do have this. I just want to run through this quick and then we can take any questions. Put together this ultimate deal analysis membership if anybody's interested. And it's basically what I'll offer is access to monthly live deal breakdown webinars. So each month I'll be doing a live deal breakdown, more in depth than this one. So maybe like an hour, really getting into the numbers and where I came up with the numbers. Do one professional deal review per month. So if you have a good deal that's come across your desk that you're pretty sure it's a good deal, you can send it to me. I'll look over it, thoroughly analyze it, and send that back to you. My thoughts, my comments, where you can, if it's a good deal, where you should be at price wise. Also provide any email help if you have any questions on just when you're analyzing deals, you got a quick question on this or that. What maintenance factor should you use, property management, simple questions like that. And then the main one is just access to deal breakdown database. So what I'm going to do is I already have a bunch on there and done. But I'll have access to any deal breakdowns I do. So over time, it'll just get larger and larger. It includes, a variety of deals. I'll try to do, smaller multifamilies, larger multifamilies, ones that have, different quirky kind of stuff, different interesting plays with them. So it includes some short and extensive breakdowns. So long-winded breakdowns, shorter ones. If you don't want to watch long videos, and I'll provide the deal videos and the spreadsheets for those analysis that I did. And then just no hassle cancellation. If you sign up, you go through some of the deals and you want to, cancel it the next month, you can do that. No problem. You just an email to me. I'll get it canceled for you, and not going to run you around that kind of thing. So that's a value I would say of about $97 per month, because it takes a lot of my time to do the videos and then provide you feedback for your deals. And I'm actually going to do the product offered on the website for $39.97 per month for anybody that wants to sign up that finds it on the website. But since you guys, attended the webinar, I said I'd provide you with a good deal. If anybody is interested, if you signed up for the webinar, we'll do a one-time deal for just the webinar attendees that signed up, even if you didn't show up, for $19.97 per month. And like I said, you cancel anytime, access to the whole database, and it's only going to grow over time. And then, professional deal review, email help, questions, and access to those monthly live breakdowns where I'll break a deal down. We can ask questions, or you guys can ask questions as we go through it. So that's that there. Is there any questions on either this or the deal itself? Anybody had questions of, how it turned out or anything about the numbers?
Yeah, John, how's it working on it right now? What's your returns on it?
Good. Yeah, we actually,
how many years have you held it?
We're coming into like probably 4.5 years. If I'm doing the math in my head correctly. It's one of our better actually cash flowing properties. So we're probably getting, now we're probably getting about $200 per door in cash flow end of year. So we got no money in it. We probably can actually, we might do it in a year or so, look into maybe refinancing again, depending on if the rates, rates are super high right now. So if they come down, maybe like, let's say in a year from now, we're back down to maybe around 3 or 4%. We'll probably look to refi again. My guess is the deal will be up in the high, 160, 170, 180 range. So we'll be able to pull out another probably 30,000, 40,000
elsewhere.
Yep, and put that elsewhere, which would be good in probably a year from now. So there's, I'm expecting some pain in the market. So
there could be some,
could be some deals to sweep up, and so we'll probably do that because it'll still cash flow. And we could even, even just do, the area is definitely going to get better over the next couple of years because it's really close to, in York, there's the old high school football field, and one old high school is right near there. And it hasn't been used in years. And there's actually a company in York that's building almost like a Spooky Nook. If anybody knows about Spooky Nook in Lancaster, it's basically a huge, really nice athletic facility. So one of the huge property people in the area is going to build that there, and that's going to be, a couple blocks from the property. So we might, maybe if we do a refinance, we just renovate the units higher end and, go from there. But yeah, it's one of our better properties, cash flow wise, and, glad we got it. That's for sure.
No, I was just wondering, when it comes to your properties or any kind of properties like this, and I know you're already talking about refinancing it, what kind of time frame do you always look? Because that's I guess that's the crux of the whole multifamily BRRRR process, is that it's unlimited.
Yeah.
And so what kind of I don't know, time frame do you look at to be able to, I know you're already looking at it like with this home that you're already talking about another year or two to refinance it. What's your time frame between the two? From refinancing to pull money out to let it appreciate again, and then do your analysis to maybe refinance it again, and then to pull more income out of it.
Yeah, I would say probably for something like this where I already did like the initial BRRRR, usually a good 2 to 3 years is probably good. You're, with just how inflation is running and how it's probably going to run in the future, in 2 years, your property is likely going to be up, a decent amount, unless you're in a market that turns and gets goes from
Dallas or
like
something like
that.
Or
like Detroit, it turns the opposite way. Goes from a semi-livable place to like for a while, someplace you don't want to even touch. But yeah, I would say I usually probably about 2 years if I haven't really looked at it. for a refi, that's when I'll start digging in and say, hey, is the value up enough? Did we get the rents up? Is the appreciation of just the market up to pull it out? And then can we still, if we, let's say for this property, if we get a appraisal at 170 or whatever in a year, is it still going to cash flow? Because that's the key. You want to refinance and pull that money out, but you also don't want to squeeze yourself to where you're taking on too much debt and then you're not still paying cash flow in case the market does go down a little bit. Does that make sense?
See.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Anything else? Got
about here.
3.5 minutes left. If anybody has another question or two.
Where on your website do you have the deal? There's the $20 a month. I mean, just to get professional help for $20. I mean, people got to be thinking about that's a good deal. I mean, because they'll be charging you $1,000 if they could get away with it.
Yeah. So no link at the website yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm having somebody put it up. But I have all your emails and I'll basically send you. What I'll do is I'll send you guys in the follow-up email when I send the replay and everything, a link. So you have that link specifically linked to your email, and that way you get that deal and almost like a grandfathered into that deal. Since
I'll reach out to you on Bigger Pockets. And,
okay.
Yep. I don't know if I've already friended or try to follow you, but I'll reach out that way.
Okay.
So I get a little more information, because I guess what I'm looking for too is financial information. I guess I'd like to find out more information about from a financial officer respect, like from being that mortgage lender aspect is what I'm kind of looking for too. Okay. Is just for insight.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to present your deal to people.
Yeah.
And that's what I was looking forward to also do. I guess maybe that's outside of the realm of the multifamily roadmap. But that's just something that I'm interested in. Just
reach out to me. We can expand on that, and I'll try to help you wherever I can. I mean, my goal of making this is to help as many people get started.
Like I said, I cashed in on the property. It's time to start to make the moves to moving the money. And now's the time. And I'm just making sure I'm going to have a pile of money ready, but it's just making the moves. I'm purchased homes. I got plenty of homes, but now it's like, you want to burr, takes a little bit more to burr. All right, Joe. Thank you. Thanks for your time, sir.
Yep, you're welcome. Minute left. Anybody else before I sign off here? All righty. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate everybody that signed up. I'll send you the replay. And if you guys got any questions on either the deal membership or just any questions in general, feel free. I love to help wherever I can. So you guys have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you.